Holy frickin' moly, Bellroy launched a suitcase. In this video, I'm gonna take my experience from reviewing over 500 bags, many of which have been Bellroy bags. And I'm gonna break this new suitcase down. We're gonna pack it out, talk about the honest pros and the cons. And if you're not 100% sure this is the suitcase for you, you're gonna wanna stick around to the end of the video where I'll make a couple of alternative recommendations for bags that are gonna be similar, but have some key differences so you can find the best bag that suits your needs. Let's talk about the gist of the Bellroy Lite Carry-on. And this is like really exciting for me for two reasons. One, Bellroy, a brand that I'm quite a fan of, has released a bunch of suitcases. These are the hard shell ones, the Transit Carry-on and the Transit Carry-on Plus. Like I said, typical hard shell polycarbonate. We'll link that video up in the top. So luggage happening from Bellroy is just exciting. Like they're a great backpack brand. But what's so cool about this particular piece of luggage is like, it's a backpack. Like, look at this thing. It's obviously, as the name suggests, inspired by the design of the light travel backpack, which comes in a 30 liter and a 38 liter. But it's not a backpack, it's a freaking, look at this footage, it's a suitcase. It's a backpack case. Calm down, Aaron. Let me quickly run you through some of the top features. I've got a very classy backpack sort of silhouette, a quick access top drop-in pocket, clamshell suitcase style opening to the main compartment because it is a suitcase. You can see right here. Inside we got some organization and an internal divider and the ability to stow away the trolley handle so you can then bust this bad boy out anytime you want as a two-wheel suitcase. Two-wheel though, muy importante. We'll talk about that a bit later in the next section. As of recording, the bag currently comes in 3 color options. This is clay, and I like clay a lot. Clay and I, we're getting along just fine. It's a beautiful color. The size is advertised to be 38 liters, which is the same size as the large version of their light travel bag. And I think it's around that, 35, 38, somewhere in that range, which is definitely a great size for carry-on travel. It's not gonna fit underneath the seat in front of you, but pop it in the bid overhead, depending on the airline, should be good to go. Because airlines are getting very strict these days. So this suitcase we're looking at has a height of around just over 19 inches, just under 20. Has a width of around under 14 inches. And the depth we'll check when the bag's fully packed out. But one thing to note about the height and the width is the width of this bag is very malleable. There's no structure there. There is in the top and the bottom. As you can see, that's hard shell. So that does give you a bit more room to play with in terms of getting this bag onto super budget airlines potentially. I don't know, I'll be honest, it's hard for me to always keep track of like what size bags are good for what airlines. So let me know in the comments below, like, is this hitting the spot for you? Bellroy, get the dimensions right for the way that you like to travel. Does the soft, malleable nature of this suitcase tingle your travel senses? I have to hear your thoughts on the size of this bag in the comments below. Every time I do, it teaches me something new about like how people like to travel and different restrictions in different countries. Let me know below. Now, one of the key selling points of this suitcase should be its weight, which according to our scale is clocking in at just under 4.5 pounds, which is almost half the weight that you're seeing some other suitcases come in at, which I think is like a pretty good move on Bellroy's part. This is the suitcase when it's empty, and here it is fully packed out, waltzing around Hong Kong with me. For reference, I'm 5'8". I'll be sure to pack out this bag throughout the entire review so you can see exactly what it fits. Though this bag hasn't launched yet, Bellroy has told me beforehand that it should cost around $260 US. And if at any point in that review you're like, dude, I want to be best friends with a suitcase named Clay, holy crap, I'm totally picking one up, and you're gonna make a purchase, we highly recommend doing so using the first link in the description below. Reason being, that link makes sure that you get the best price, and we oftentimes have discount codes. But that link also helps to support the Nomadization YouTube channel and team so we can keep making the best bag reviews on the web. Thank you very much. Let's talk about the front of the Bellroy Lite Carry-on. Starting with the aesthetic, which, this whole thing is just interesting to me. Like, I'll be honest, I'm more of a backpack enthusiast than I am a suitcase enthusiast. I probably reviewed about 20 suitcases at this point versus like 400 backpacks. But that's what's so interesting to me about what's going on here, as to where it's this soft shell backpack that is transformed into a suitcase. And the aesthetic is like kind of fun in that sense. And one of the biggest parts of that aesthetic is this primary fabric. Now, Bellroy's fabrics are constantly changing. To be honest, I've kind of given up keeping up with what their fabrics are. Like, I just read, Margaret, that like the Venture Ready 2.5 liter sling, they have like totally new fabrics. So here's the white flag, we surrender. The good thing about Bellroy fabrics is they're always stunning. Like this clay nylon, I believe it should be. It's just beautiful. Look at the pattern. And it's gonna have some really great abrasion resistance, but maybe not the cream of the crop in terms of abrasion resistance. I think Bellroy is a bit more form over function in some ways. That quirky urban aesthetic is very important to them, as to where weather resistance is less important to them. But for your typical sort of abrasion and usage, this fabric should be good to go. I think I'd be okay with checking this. Yeah, I'd be okay. Margaret, would you be okay with this fabric? Checked, thrown around by the, no? No. Well, okay, good point. So Margaret wouldn't even use a soft shell, right? And that's a good point. This is the carry-on. So as a soft shell, you know, you can be more confident that your stuff's not gonna get thrown around and hurt. But you do run the risk of a particular airline being like, yeah, actually, no, that's not carry-on compliant on our airline. So a little checkity check, maybe $100, please. So that does seem to me sort of a negative when it comes to a soft shell suitcase at this size. Again, I'm always looking for education in the world of luggage and suitcases, so if you got any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments below. Bellroy's branding has been getting a little bit louder over the years, but it's subtle enough as to where, you know, I'm not gonna complain too much about it. But let's talk one thing I can never complain about when it comes to Bellroy bags, and that's their internal fabrics. Actually, before I do, let's talk about this drop pocket, because it's interesting as to where it's like a backpack pocket, but like on a suitcase. And yeah, I just don't know if I'd ever end up using this. For me, I'm usually doubling a suitcase with a backpack and or a sling, so the things that I do need quicker access to are gonna be on me. But if you like to have a bit more organization in your suitcase, this will suit you well. Seam right here is where the pocket drops to. And you can see inside we have 2 larger pockets, pen pocket, and a key leash. Now, if you're not like me and you're not rocking a sling, you'll probably want to put things that you want quicker access to in here. Like I said, phone, wallet. I'm gonna throw a passport-sized notebook in there as well. A little pen in the pen sleeve. And then one good thing is this pocket does have some volume. So if you want to throw something bulkier in there, let's see if my Sony headphones will fit. They absolutely will. And then you're good to go. You can see on either side of this pocket too, we've got these little pull tabs right here. Just give you a little bit of leverage when you are opening and closing this compartment. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the middle of the Bellroy Lite Carry-on. Starting with the sides, where you can see we've got handle galore going on here. These handles are made with just a stunning, beautiful webbing, but not the most padded and not the most silky. They're a little bit more burly, coarse, but the reinforced stitching seems pretty strong. And although you're not gonna be carrying your suitcase with these handles a lot, the top handle included, because of the bag's malleable nature, the handles are a lot more fun to work with. Versus a more traditional suitcase like this, the Air suitcase, you know, you're doing handling in this mode. This is just a brick. It's not as fun doing side and top handle carry when you're like putting it in the bin overhead. So this whole like, I'm a backpack, I'm a suitcase fusion just like leaves a lot of fun, and like, I don't know, the handles are enjoyable to use from that perspective. Now we're gonna talk about the bottom when we transition into the next section. So first, we'll get into the main compartment, which in fact, should note, it's accessible with these chunky YKK zippers, which are in fact lockable zippers. So if you have a little lock, clip it on there, keep your stuff nice and safe. There's some chunky zippers for a Bellroy bag. And then you can see, obviously as it's a suitcase, we have the suitcase style opening. 1, 2 pockets here, the divider, and no additional pockets on the other side. Let's just back it out. So for 38 liters, I would expect to fit a big packing cube, a regular size packing cube, hoodie, top kit, tech pouch, shoes, and maybe another tech pouch as well. Now in this main compartment, see these right here? Them the handles. Now here's one unfortunate part about this bag versus the hardshell versions. I like what Bellroy did with the hardshell versions, is where they've saved space in the main compartment by putting the handle kind of not very sexily, but on the outside of the bag, right? Which therefore means this metal frame isn't eating into the main compartment. But for this bag, it totally is, whether the handle is extended or not, right? This is just the steel core the handle resides in. But it's not the biggest deal breaker, I don't think. You can see right here, I've got a regular packing cube from West Breeze. Medium packing cube on top. And, you know, that's gonna be most of the space right there. All right, top kit. We've got another tech pouch. I'm gonna see if I can throw my shoes in here. Also, this is the new Bellroy, what is this called? So I'll put the name in the graphics here. You can see you can pop that there, and then, you know, we're basically at full capacity. I sort of stick by to what I said as to where it feels, you know, 35-ish. If you didn't have those steel sort of frames for the trolley handle, you might be closer to that 38 mark. But overall, as you can see, you can fit enough for a carry-on trip, no problem. I'm gonna throw a book in this pocket here. This pocket's really tight. There's no expansion on this mesh, so I'm not able to put things in here since the main compartment underneath it is very full. Then on the flip side, I'm gonna throw a hard drive and a packable tote bag from Peak Design right there. And they got a rain cover in case I get caught in a storm. Keep my stuff nice and dry. That should do it. We are definitely working. I'm just gonna go ahead and take out my headphones because I don't want to hurt them because these are my babies. And then boom, light carry-on, fully packed out. Now with the bottom of the bag, you can see we are self-standing because it's not a bag, it's a suitcase. And we get some self-standing because of what's going on the bottom, where we have this hardware here and the two wheels. And when they combine, they create the self-standing of the light carry-on. This is also adding a bit more weight and bulk to the bag. Not more than like a polycarbonate hard shell suitcase might. And one interesting thing to note is that on the bottom of the bag, we have a completely different fabric being utilized. This is like a 330D polycarbonate. It's the same fabric you see on bags from brands like Peak Design, Carry Kubo, and Firo. You may have heard of that last brand. If not, I recommend checking them out. Overall, it's not a very Bellroy type fabric, but I think it actually works. It looks pretty good. Now, before we jump into the next section, I gotta let you know, if you're digging this review, because you're looking for some next level travel gear, well then you might be smitten to find out that here at Nomads Nation, we don't just do YouTube reviews, but we also have the Nomads Nation newsletter. And in that newsletter, you can look at me like your reporter in the field. I'm on the front lines telling you what the newest releases are in the world of everyday carry and travel gear. From the newest drops, limited edition collabs, a bit of industry gossip, plus we're always hooking you guys up with our best discount codes and newsletter exclusive giveaways. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in this incredible world of gear, you should definitely look for this globe emoji in the description below. There you can sign up to the Nomads Nation newsletter and hope to see you in your inbox. All right, let's talk about the back of the Bellroy Lite Carry-on. Now remember, like I said, you can stow away the top handle, which is nice because if you are putting the bag overhead, this just gives it a bit cleaner finish, but then you can unzip and you can take it on out like this. The handle itself seems fine. I'll be honest, I haven't taken this on many flights. 0 so far. But you got 1, 2, 3 different settings. And overall, the handle feels fine. Overall, the handle, it's got a bit of wobble to it. It did get stuck a couple times in different positions. Again, I've used a bunch of suitcases. It doesn't feel like better or worse than anything else. Just kind of, you know, gets the job done. I don't think they're reinventing the wheel with this handle, but overall, from my experience, smooth enough. And our media manager, Margaret, just brought up a really great point in terms of weight distribution. But as you can see here, with the bag fully packed out, you get a little bit of forward leaning in the front if it's pushed hard enough. But in the back, we're pretty good. But this is definitely gonna be, you know, a pro and a con of a 2-wheel suitcase versus a 4-wheel. Like, let's kind of, you know, really get into it. As you can see here, we got these 2 rollerblade wheels right there. Dude, I saw these wheels and I went into such hardcore nostalgic mode. Reminded me of when I was like 8 years old, like skateboarding. Brink, you know, trying to do my 360s and stuff. Any Brink fans out there? Let me know in the comments below. Soul skaters for life. But the whole thing of a 2 versus a 4-wheel, again, I don't have like a ton of expertise because I haven't done a lot of 2-wheel luggage traveling before. I've done a bunch of 4-wheel, and 4-wheels are great, right? Taking the Air suitcase, for example, because you can do 360 like that, you know? Doing its own Brink. But most importantly, I think, is the whole like side carry, right? It's you. It's your suitcase. You're just trotting like this. You know, that's nice. Versus the 2-wheeler, you're always kind of dragging it behind you. And let's just be honest, it's not as smooth. It's not as awesome. This is a glide. This is kind of like having a kid who really wanted McDonald's and you didn't give them McDonald's, and they're going with you, but like they're just dragging a little bit. I don't have any kids, but I imagine that's what like having children is like. So yeah, again, your expertise, community, I'm looking for you guys. 2-wheel versus 4-wheel. Let me know what you think in the comments below, because one thing to know is, like, I've talked to a lot of pilots and I've seen a lot of pilots and they always go 2-wheel. And I've heard 2-wheel is better because these guys are less likely to break. 4-wheelers are much more likely for compromises to happen. A, because you're doubling the amount of hardware, so you're doubling the amount of opportunities for that hardware to break. But B, that these wheels just aren't as strong as the Brink roller skate wheels are. So that's why a lot of pilots I've read always use 2 wheels for their carry-on. And pilots always use soft shell as well. It's just a really interesting conversation, right? Because travel's changing, restrictions are becoming more restrictive. Heavy hard shell suitcases are getting harder to travel with. So, you know, this solution I think is quite innovative, quite interesting, quite light. And Bellroy also knocked it out of the park with how it looks. I know there's a lot of people out there who really don't like Bellroy. Y'all are gonna comment down below regardless. I'm curious to hear what the lovers and the haters have to say. I think this is gonna be a really interesting conversation for what travel is now and where travel is going forward to next. And if you want to participate even more in like these existential travel and EDC conversations, you should do so on the Nomads Nation subreddit. We got the biggest bag-loving community in the world there. And it's just a great spot for all these conversations. If you got any questions about this suitcase or anything else, definitely check out the subreddit. All right, let's talk about the overall pros and the cons of the Bellroy Lite Carry-on. Pro number one, I'm gonna say, for me personally, is the aesthetic. I think it's beautiful. Pro number two is going to be the malleable nature of it being a soft shell. And pro number three is the fact that it's coming in a lot less heavy than other suitcases currently on the market. But on the flip side, I got some cons, and here they are. Con number one, 2 wheels, not as smooth as 4 wheels. Con number two is the steel frame of the trolley handle did compromise packing space in the main compartment. And con number three is, depending on how the bag is packed out, it might have the chance of falling over, which again, versus a 4-wheel suitcase, won't happen. But you might be like, dude, Aaron, stop. I've heard enough. I'm getting that bag because it's awesome. And for me, the pros outweigh the cons. And just a reminder, if that is the case for you and you're gonna make a purchase, we do recommend you do so using the first link in the description. That link makes sure you get the best price. And if we have any discount codes, that's what they'll be. But if you're not quite sold, I also talked about some alternatives, which I'm gonna bring up to you right now. Alternative number one is going to be the Bellroy Transit Carry-on, which I got right here. It's a great option for you if you're drawn to a more lightweight modern suitcase, but you want the hard shell, not the soft. And alternative number two is gonna be the Peak Design Roller Pro. Great option for you if budget is not a problem and you want like some high-tech next level carry, luggage, awesomeness happening. It's super heavy, but the innovation is super cool and it raised like $7 million on Kickstarter, so I think it speaks for itself. Every bag in the world has its own pros and cons. No bag is perfect, but to see if these two alternatives are perfect-ish for you, just go ahead and watch these 2 videos right here. If you got any questions about any bags, be sure to let me know in the comments below or in the Nomads Nation subreddit. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aaron, this is Nomads Nation, and we'll catch you next time.